till you make it, where it kind of does, like, it is a platitude, and it in some ways, if you're too liberal with it, it doesn't really bear weight. But I do think that what Toastmasters is really focusing about, the true strength of Toastmasters, is that it provides this gregarious and friendly environment where people can give it their best shot at doing a prepared speech. And people realize that it's not the end of the world that you didn't deliver a speech like at a TED Talk, or you didn't give a speech like Tony Robbins did, these motivational speakers. It's okay. Tony Robbins and every emotional and motivational speaker you can think of were in the same shoes as we are today, where they didn't deliver a fantastic speech, they didn't deliver a keynote speech, but they recognized that going out there and getting a feel for having the spotlight on you, you will only get better at it the more that you do it, and that just comes with practice. So that's the first thing I want to share with you all about speechcraft and prepared speech. Just let go of the idea of doing it perfectly the first try, and just go up on the lectern and give it your best shot. I think another thing that's helped me with this Pathways program is that it's significantly helped me with decreasing the amount of time it takes for me to prepare a speech. I feel like with my first icebreaker speech many years, I guess it was 2 years ago now, I felt like I spent 30 minutes developing a 5-minute speech. But as time went on and I started recognizing and letting go of a reliance upon, bullet pointed speech notes, I've noticed that my time to prepare a speech really decreased significantly. And I think that's another great appeal about Toastmasters, is that you learn more about how to efficiently come up with speech topics, what main ideas you want to communicate, and how to communicate that in a timely fashion. I think one weakness of the Pathways program, and it's on part of me, it was a self-imposed obstacle, was I actively avoided storytelling and working on environmental and chemistry speeches, and also avoiding vocal variety opportunities. And again, I want to be clear, I don't think this is a weakness of the Pathways program. I think it is out of my own self-imposed anxieties and my own concerns of not wanting to get out of my comfort zone. And that's the thing about comfort zones. Like, if you don't get out of it, and if I don't take my own piece of advice of going out there and trying, I'm going to continue to have this weakness of avoiding chemistry speeches or environmental speeches. And I think two particular reasons why I was very hesitant to storytelling and vocal variety is, for one thing, I felt that my very poor storytelling techniques, I could tell you I can tell you with confidence that all these stories that I want to share with you guys are fantastic and they're captivating, but me trying to deliver them is a completely different story. And I feel that my poor delivery of these stories would only discourage you guys from wanting to listen to a really great story. And that's what really discouraged me from trying to do these storytelling exercises. But that's just something that I need to accept about myself and about becoming a better storyteller, that you're not going to be good at it the first time, and you just need to go out and continue trying and developing, and one day you'll be really proud of the story that you've told, that hopefully many audience members will want to listen and take a look at outside of a Toastmasters meeting. And then the vocal variety thing, what made me very hesitant to do it was because I'm living with my parents and I have roommates. And I was concerned that if my parents listened to me whispering and yelling and screaming at a computer monitor, they might send me to a ward or something. And that's anxiety that's completely blown out of proportion. And the way you get around that is by simply going to your roommates and telling them, listen, for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to be working on a speech. I might be yelling, I might be whispering, I might be screaming. Please don't call the authorities on me. It's part of my vocal variety training. And just leave it at that. It goes back to the important tenets of Toastmasters of communicate. Let people know what's going on in your lives. Let them know what you're working on, so that way they don't misconstrue what exercises you're doing, what speech you're working on, what vocal variety you're trying to develop. And finally, another important thing I felt that Toastmasters has taught me is becoming a better at impromptu speeches. I think many of us are becoming way more comfortable with table topics and learning that improvisational aspect. And I think that those skills that I've been learning are helping me become a better prepared speaker as well, because I'm learning to let go of a reliance on speech notes and to be okay with pausing, with communicating the next idea, and thinking rapidly on your feet of, okay, if I communicated these two main ideas, I can't think of the third one. Maybe that's all that needs to be shared in this particular speech making session. I think one area of table topics that I want to develop for myself, and that I'm sure would be of great value for you all in the future, it is in particular those of us who are involved in volunteer organizations. Like, for example, I'm involved with a climate change advocacy group, and frequently you might find yourself leading an event or a community event, and you might be asked to have the microphone, like in this picture, to MC the next event. I mean, Cheyenne probably does this on a regular basis with her comedy nights, or at least when she did it back in the day, well, before COVID-19. But you have to set up the event. You have to let the audience know what's coming up next. And I think there's two main things that you need to do when you have the spotlight on you that I want to continue to develop, that I am frequently forgetting to do. And that is, first and foremost, thanking your audience for participating at an event, and thanking your volunteer members for putting together a really great event, a really great showcase, a great community event that everyone needs to now pay attention to. But probably the second thing that also needs to be highlighted at any community event that you're hosting, that you're emceeing, is you need to plug your social media. You need to plug your Twitter. You need to let people know to like, share, and subscribe to your YouTube. You need to get people to sign up to your email list. Those two things, I think, are very key whenever you have a microphone in your hands and you're leading a community group. Thank audience members for participating and listening to the message you want to share. Thank your volunteer members who are putting on this event, who are using their sweat and their expertise on building a great event. And then plug your Facebook, plug your YouTube, plug your social media, plug your LinkedIn, plug your email list, and increase that membership base. So that way, the next event that you host, you'll have more eyes on the scene. You'll have more manpower. You'll have more women power. You'll have more staff power to make the next event much better and greater. Thank you all so much for listening to my reflections on this Pathways experience that I've had. Again, I felt I've become a way more prepared speaker. I recognize that I need to work on vocal variety, and I need to start exercising storytelling techniques and starting to work on environmental and chemistry topics. And finally, I feel that I've been able to incorporate a lot of table topic skills and improvisation into my prepared speeches. Again, I can't tell you that, speech 4, you're suddenly going to have 0 butterflies in your stomach, but I can tell you that in this case, the platitude of fake it till you make it really helps out with the Toastmasters journey and learning experience. Thank you all so much, and I will relinquish the lectern back to Kyler, our Toastmaster.
Thank you, Diego. I really appreciate that speech. That was fantastic. It's really awesome to hear from your perspective through your journey through Toastmasters and where it's brought you today. Thank you for giving us a good review of that and for the encouragement. I look forward to reaching that point as well. Next, we have Luke. He'll be giving a speech on leading a healthy life through nutrition. I really look forward to hearing about this particular subject. So join me as we welcome Luke to the lectern.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, and good evening, fellow Toastmaster members. So tonight's speech is to not only fill an obligation of my third speech of my research and presenting on my leadership and development pathway, but it is also to bring back some motivation in my life, to live a healthier lifestyle after 2 back-to-back surgeries that got me off my fitness and nutrition path and into a lifestyle more comfortable, less planned, and less healthy. So, how many of you remember your parents say when you were little, you need to eat your vegetables? I think all of us probably here have heard that before. And if you were like me as a kid, you probably wanted to do everything but eat your vegetables. And I can even remember hiding the okra in the vase that was on the dining room table when my parents went to the kitchen to refill their drink. Well, now that I'm older, I have to admit that, like most things my parents told me when I was younger, they were right and not wrong. So tonight, I want to talk to you a little bit about eating a more whole foods, lean meat, and plant-based diet, and not so much processed foods for a healthier and more energetic life. So first, I want to talk a little bit about processed foods. So what do I mean when I say processed food? All foods are processed in some way, either mechanically or chemically. So mechanically processed foods like ground beef have to be ground in a machine before packaged, and therefore are different than a chemically processed food. So let's define a chemically processed food. This is food that has been chemically processed and made solely from refined ingredients and artificial substances. So if my screen sharing was working tonight, which it's not, I actually had pictures of cereal boxes, cookies, hard candy, Butterfingers and stuff like that. So that would be an example of a processed food. So let me elaborate a little bit more. First and foremost, processed foods are extremely low in essential nutrients. They're high in fat and they're high in calories. Other ways processed foods are bad for your health is that they are extremely high in sugar or high fructose corn syrup, preservatives, and trans fat. These substances affect our mood, our metabolism. They increase bad cholesterol. They increase our insulin resistance. And they have empty calories that provide us with little to no essential nutrients. Studies have actually been shown that processed foods are engineered to promote a maximum stimulation and maximum reward in our brains. So study after study show that manufacturers use these artificial and refined substances to stimulate parts of the brain that trigger this reward that often lead us to overeat and to literally crave more. So by a show of hands, here's a question. Have you ever turned over the back of a package to look at the ingredients on the back and you do not know what most of those ingredients are, but all you know is that it tastes great, right? I'm definitely guilty of that. I love Oreos, and that's definitely one of them. So this is a prime example of a processed food, and unfortunately, they are almost everywhere we go. So choosing these high-calorie, fatty, low-nutrient foods contributes to weight gain and chronic diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, and cancer, just to name a few. So now I want to talk to you about a higher intake of natural, unprocessed foods like vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and lean meats. So whole grain foods such as whole grain pastas, breads, brown rices are low in fat, loaded with vitamins and minerals, and they're also high in fiber and complex carbohydrates, which help us feel fuller for longer and helps prevent overeating. Vegetables and fruits are low in calories and fats, but contain great amounts of essential nutrients, and they are nutrient-dense foods. Vegetables and fruits also contain antioxidants. These antioxidants help protect the human body from diseases and cancers, and secondly, help the body develop the capacity to fight against these issues by boosting the body's immune system. Eaten in moderation, lean meats such as fish, chicken, lamb, lean cuts of beef and pork are also packed with protein and essential omegas that are needed for our bodies as well. Many studies out there have shown by just eating a more plant-based whole foods diet, one can either stop or reverse the effects and symptoms of obesity, heart disease, diabetes, and cancer by diet alone. So you might be thinking that I just go home and graze on organic vegetables because you can tell by my speech tonight that I do feel very strongly that processed foods do have a negative effect in our bodies, but that's not the case. So I do enjoy processed foods like eating pizza and crystals, to be more specific, and cookies. But I feel it's okay as long as you're doing this in true moderation, and that's the key, is moderation. So I feel when all or most of our diet is derived from processed artificial foods day in and day out, that is when our bodies become nutrient deficient, and it becomes an issue that negatively affects our health in more ways than I can mention here tonight. So everyone here has heard the saying, you are what you eat, but I want everybody to really just think about that for a minute. So if we do not eat or drink, what will happen to us? Our bodies and our minds will slowly start to shut down, and fatal consequences can happen when we do not eat or drink. So literally, the foods that we are putting into our bodies is what is fueling every aspect and function of our bodies on a daily basis. Now we can choose to fuel ourselves on genetically modified, artificially processed foods that are high in fats, calories, and are pretty much nutrient deficient. Or we can choose to eat primarily whole foods that are natural, low in fat and calories, and nutrient dense to fuel our bodies and mind for the optimum performance. So in closing, it all comes down to three main choices every day, and that is breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I hope that everyone here is making the proper choices for the best you today. Thank you all for listening to me tonight, and I'll turn it back over to our Toastmaster.
Thanks, Luke. Let's everybody give a round of applause to Luke. I appreciate that speech. That's something that I struggle with daily because I'm often tempted and I stray off the path of healthy. Oreos. Yeah, same thing with Oreos. And I think you mentioned Butterfingers earlier, and like some part of my brain immediately lit up, you know, like a Pavlov bell. But but all that to say, you know, it's always great to have these reminders that, you know, at the end of the day, the big thing for me, like when I think about it, is your health and your brain function, and you know, just being able to live a better life by eating healthier foods. So I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, so next we'll move on to the table topics portion of the evening. And I will now pass the lectern to Donovan, who will be our table topics master. Everyone give a round of applause to Donovan.
Thank you. Thank you. So the way I'm going to do this session is that I'm going to read one of the questions and one of y'all will volunteer. The first question: how many worms is in the word coronavirus without the worms corona and virus?
Hey, Donovan, can you repeat that one more time, buddy?
Yeah. How many worms is in the coronavirus without the worms corona and virus?
That's a hard one. Diego, you got it?
No. I wanted to ask Donovan, can you just ask one more time the question?
How many words is in the word coronavirus? Out the words corona and virus.
So how many words are in the word coronavirus without corona and virus?
Correct.
I got to write this out. Well, do we have any takers? If not, I'll take it.
Go ahead, Luke.
All right. Thanks, Donovan. Thanks for the question. And I'll have to say this is probably one of the harder table topics questions that I have ever gotten. So the question is, how many words are in the word coronavirus? And we cannot use the word corona or virus. So my handwriting is horrible. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I wrote it out on my paper. And so right now, I'm seeing, I can say the word no, N-O, right? I can say O-N, I can say on. I can say us, U-S. I can say is, I-S. I can say ran, R-A-N, and this is me mixing up the letters to make words fit.
That's okay.
And that, I think, because I'm kind of stumped, is all the words that I can think of that are in the word coronavirus without using the actual words corona and virus. So that was a great question, Donovan, and I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you. The next question is, what is one advantage do you have now since the coronavirus hit?
I'm happy to take this one.
Go ahead, Diego.
My fellow Toastmasters, unfortunately, the advantage that I gained during the coronavirus periods has not been becoming more gregarious, because I'm already at peak gregarious. You can't become more gregarious than me. So you can't mess with perfection that way. But the great advantage that I've experienced in this coronavirus period has been the fact that I have finally addressed the clutter in my room, and I have started decluttering my room. It is giving me way more peace of mind. I have been able to let go of stuff that has just been gathering dust in my house. I'm really thinking more about what are the most important materials that I need to have on hand in my room. And for the sentimental stuff that I have a connection with since I was growing up, I am able to take photos of it and hold on to the photos. It still provides that nice sentimental value, but it takes up less space in my room. I feel like this decluttering process is going to make me become a way more conscious consumer and really reflect on what items do I need to purchase in the future. Am I going to continue to use them for many years to come, or are they things that I'm probably going to let go of in 10 or 15 years from now? So the great advantage I've had is I've focused on decluttering my house, my room specifically more. Thank you for the great question, Donovan. I'm relinquishing the lecture back to you.
Thank you. Thank you. The third question I have tonight is what different dishes can you make with turkey during the coronavirus?
Donovan, can you repeat the question, please?
What different dishes can you make with turkey during the coronavirus?
If I'm hearing you correctly, the question is what different dishes you can make with turkey during the coronavirus. Is that the question?
Yes.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to let someone else answer that.
I volunteer.
Go ahead.
I just had to do a little dance first. Okay. Hi, everyone. The question has been asked, what different dishes can you make with turkey starting since the coronavirus? Well, we are trying to do plant-based, so we don't cook with meat that often. But during the coronavirus, we have started cooking at home a lot more. We used to eat out all the time, and now that we are trying to be more cautious, and when we started cooking at home, we found that we really like to do that because you spend the same amount of money and you can probably eat off of it for 2 or 3 days. So the first recipe that I tried, I love the Disney movie Ratatouille. And so I was watching it and I was like, I can make that. So I went to Fresh Market and I got all the vegetables and I made the Ratatouille. So that, as well as that turned out, it kind of sparked some inspiration. So then we started making other things like different types of pasta dishes, shrimp scampi. What else did we make? We made homemade ramen noodle. So our favorite place to eat out is Kai on University and Cottage Hill. Well, I was like, well, why don't we make the ramen noodle that we pay $15 for? And it was about the same price, probably a little cheaper, and it was delicious. So as I said, we don't really cook with meat too often. We mostly just do like tacos and sometimes hamburgers, but we have started branching out and cooking more in general. So thank you, Donovan, for your good question.
You're welcome. My next question, what name would you give a golden retriever if you got one during the virus?
Donovan, can you repeat that one more time?
Yes. What name would you give a golden retriever if you got one during the coronavirus? Why?
So Donovan, the question is, what name would you give a golden retriever if you got one during the coronavirus?
Yes. It's actually a two-part question.
Gotcha.
The second part is why. David, would you like to answer this question?
Sure, I'll give it a try. Thank you, Donovan. So the question is, what name would I give a golden retriever if I were to adopt one during the coronavirus pandemic? And the funny thing is I don't have any pets at the moment. I had a cat, but my neighbor has it now and she won't give it back. But that's a long story. And I have actually considered having a dog. As a child, I had a couple of different dogs, and there were dogs that roamed our neighborhood. Because back then, when I was a kid, because I'm kind of old, all the dogs just kind of roam the neighborhoods. They weren't in yards or on leashes. And I love dogs. And golden retrievers, I've been around them, and they are just the most wonderful, have the great personality, you know, just like a dog's dog. So as far as a name, I think I like the name Corona, if that's acceptable for a dog. I guess that could be a girl dog or a boy dog, and then it would be applicable, and hopefully the dog wouldn't catch the coronavirus. But and that you're kind of inspiring me to want to go adopt a dog. I talked to Carrie. We were talking about going looking at dogs one day, and that's something I should consider doing. But I'll go with the answer of Corona, and I thank you for the question. And back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
And it's actually a two-part question.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you name the dog Corona? Why?
Why would be, well, because it's during the coronavirus pandemic, and then that would just really stick home that the dog's name is Corona. So it's, I guess that would be the reason. Thank you.
Okay. The next question is, what is your favorite color during this virus and why?
Donovan, can you say that one last time, please?
What is your favorite color during this virus? Why?
So what's your favorite color during the coronavirus and why?
Correct. Yes.
If anybody would like to take it.
Well, I'll take it. Oh, sorry. Go
All
ahead.
right, Maurice.
It's okay, Morris. I'll give you.
Okay.
Morris, go.
Well, this may not necessarily be my favorite color. And I'm being, well, before I move any further, I'm being gregarious about it. This may not be my favorite color, but a lot of other people's favorite color during this coronavirus is blue. Because that's the way they're feeling. Whether they are not making any money anymore because they're unemployed, or because they can't go absolutely anywhere they want to go, when they want to go, how they want to go, or for any other reason that this coronavirus and this quarantine is restricting people's freedom of movement. Their favorite color now is blue. Mr. Topic Master.
Thank you. That was very entertaining.
Hey, Donovan. It looks like we're out of time, and we'll have to we're gonna have to move on to the general evaluation just so we get out of here on time.
All right, go ahead.
Thanks, Donovan. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Donovan. I appreciate those table topic questions. They were interesting and definitely got us all thinking. I think people are still commenting in the chat different words that they found within coronavirus. So that was really clever. That gives everybody a puzzle that they can think about for a little while. Okay, so we're going to move on to the last portion of the evening, the evaluation portion. So with that, I'm going to turn over the lectern to David, who will be our general evaluator for the evening. Let's all give a hand to David.
Hi, everyone, again. And as your general evaluator, we're going to start with evaluating our two prepared speeches for this evening. But first, I'd like to say that it's really been an honor for Diego, or for me to be with Diego in this group. And I know he's moving on, and this was his final speech, I guess, as an official member of Hilltoppers. And I thought it was really good, especially talking about the different aspects of pathways, and sharing his vulnerability was important to me, with like storytelling and vocal variety. Those are two areas that I struggle with as well. And I think vulnerability is a good word for that, because it's like vocal variety is something I'm afraid of. I'm afraid to just get excited. And so that was really great. And also Luke's speech on nutrition. Nutrition is something that's very dear to my heart. I'm sort of a health nut, so I'm always thinking about that as well. So those were two great speeches that were given this evening. And I'll go ahead and go to the our first evaluator, which would be Cheyenne for Diego's speech.
Thank you, David. All right, so I evaluated Diego's speech, your last evaluation. So I gotta just really just be as strict as possible, Diego. No, I'm just kidding. You did a really good job with your speech. I enjoyed it. One thing I noted is that you like Toastmasters, and that is obvious through your speech. And when you, okay, sorry, we have a intruder. Okay, so it's very obvious when you talk about Toastmasters that you believe in it and you're a good advocate for it and what it can do for people if they are not strong in speeches. So that always shines through in any speech that you give, especially ones that have to do with Toastmasters. For what you may work on, I know we're more relaxed here, but I just thought if this was like a professional speech or maybe a speech for a class, it could be better maybe if you're standing up, because the laptop on your lap was kind of shaky. It was kind of doing like this sometimes when you got excited and we're kind of moving it. So that could be like distracting if it was like, yeah, Maurice's little dance, if it was like a professional thing. So just, you know, in another circumstance, it might be better. And also one thing I noted, I didn't have anything that you could challenge yourself on with your speech, but with your PowerPoint, I'm like a OCD visual person. The sporadicness of the pictures on the screen, I was kind of like, is there supposed to be an order to that, or is it like not lined up? Like that was one thing I kind of like, I had to get my attention back to what you were saying. And also your pictures had a white background, but your overall background was dark. So it kind of was just kind of like a harsh contrast. So that's just one thing I noticed, but I also do like PowerPoints and social media every day. So just thought that I would bring that up to you. If you can make the background of your pictures or your overall background and your picture background match, so it's not that harsh contrast. Your clarity was very clear. I also liked how you talked about clarity and also clarifying what you'll be doing to people that may be in your environment, since we are working from home and doing these things from home. One thing I did want to point out, your eye contact. I did like how this time and last time you had two screens, because I remember when we first started out, it would just be a screen share, but we couldn't see you. So I liked how we figured out a way where you can see your PowerPoint, but also see you. And then you did an excellent job with your gestures. You used your fingers to count out what you were talking about. And let's see, I wrote down a specific example. Oh, when you were saying what you need to do is, and then you point them out on your fingers, kind of keeping us interested in like, okay, well, we know, you know, what number he's on. And then the last thing, not just because it was a shout out to me, but I like how you always use an audience member as an example. And if you know you're in person and you can kind of see someone's like tuning out, you can kind of say, oh, right, so and then it kind of just reels them back in, or just make sure they're still paying attention. So I was paying attention, but anyway, so comfort level and your interest level, the highest amount. So like I said, you're a great advocate for Toastmasters and you do a good job explaining the benefits to anyone. If we had a guest here, that would have been a great speech for them to hear. So we're sad you're going to leave, and that's all I have to say. So thank you. And I'll pass it back to our general evaluator, David.
Thank you, Cheyenne. I thought that was a well thought out review, and it shows that there's always things to think about. And that's the beautiful thing about Toastmasters, is that we can sit here and critique each other and learn from each other. So our next reviewer will be Maurice, who will be reviewing Luke's, our second prepared speech. So Maurice.
Yes, David. Luke's speech was entitled Leading a Healthy Life Through Nutrition. And that's the way to lead a healthy life through nutrition, because that's the biggest thing to promote a healthy life. I'm just going to go over the general comments. You excelled at being able to explain the pros of eating healthy foods versus the cons of eating processed foods. You may want to work on the use of vocal variety and gestures, and to challenge yourself, just a general statement, just continue improving on your speech and continue practice as you have been. The other points of the speech: clarity, the speech was clear and audible. Vocal variety, again, you could have utilized a little more vocal variety. Eye contact, I did notice that you looked toward the camera a little more. And I understand, the situation where we're not face to face in person with each other. Gestures, you could have used more gestures. Audience awareness, he was aware of the audience's engagement to the speech. Comfort level, the speaker appeared to be very comfortable during the speech. Interest, the audience found the speech interesting and well researched. The speaker thoroughly researched through the execution of his speech. It shows that he thoroughly researched the topic. So those are the points of the evaluation of Luke's speech. And I will relinquish the lectern back to the general evaluator.
Thank you, Maurice. That was for the evaluation. I think it's good to hear Luke speak again and get back, because I guess it's been a little while, and we'll have to get more of us up here speaking. And we'll move on to the timers report, which I believe will be Olivia.
Hello, everyone. I have the timers report for the speeches and table topics, as well as the speech evaluations. So for the first prepared speech, it was 10 minutes and 55 seconds, and that was done by Diego. The second prepared speech was 7 minutes and 31 seconds, and that was done by Luke. We move on to the table topics. Luke, I was so busy trying to figure out how many words I can find in coronavirus without using the words corona and virus until, to be honest with you, I was not keeping your time properly. By the time I started keeping time, you and I both were probably 10 words in, so I apologize for that. I would like to imagine that it was still less than 2 minutes. The next one, Diego, your table topic speech was 1 minute and 38 seconds. Cheyenne, yours was 1 minute, 41 seconds. David, your table topics was 1 minute and 34 seconds. And Maurice, your table topic speech was 1 minute and 2 seconds. For the speech evaluations, Cheyenne, you evaluated the first speaker, Diego, and yours was 3 minutes and 49 seconds. And Maurice, you evaluated the second speech by Luke, and yours was 2 minutes even. That is it. My timers report back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Olivia. And it's perfectly understandable. I really get caught up in the speeches and the table topics sometimes and totally forget so that I would have just made up an answer. 1 minute and 55 seconds. Good. Okay, but very good. Thank you. Moving on, we'll go to the awe counters report with Carrie.
Good evening, everyone. I'm a counter and start with Diego. Prepare speech. I heard twice. And your table topic, I didn't hear anything. Luke, your prepare speech. I heard 7 times. And your table topic, I heard only one. And Davey, your table topic, I didn't hear anything. And next, Cheyenne, your table topic, I heard 3 times. And your evaluator, you're very excited, I enjoy. And then I heard a lot of, but particularly I heard your feeling words. So 4 times. And Maurice, in your table topic, I didn't detect anything. And the your evaluation, I didn't either. Okay, that's all. Back to general evaluator.
Thank you, Carrie. And moving on, we have the grammarian report, which will be Kyler, the grammarian report along with the word of the day.
Hello, my name is Kyler, and I'll be also the grammarian for this evening. One of the things that our group, I think, does really well is we all speak very clearly, and we're very, with the exception of me using my filler words, we do a good job of using the English language properly and, keeping in mind and paying attention to our grammar. I didn't hear anyone make any mistakes today. One thing we could work on is using the word of the day. However, Diego and Maurice did use the word of the day, and they did a great job. Maurice used it once, and Diego used it 4 times. So I feel like that was like the grand finale for your final Toastmasters meeting. You had to do like the grand finale of the word of the day. So great job on that, and we could all learn to use the word of the day a little more often. But other than that, I think we've done really well, and I'll keep it short since I know we're short on time. Thank you. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Kyler. And as a general evaluation of the meeting, I think we were a couple of minutes late starting, but with the online format, and getting everybody online, that was really okay. I'll have to chastise myself because I remembered right at the beginning of Diego's speech to start recording. So I've got most of the meeting recorded, and I'll upload it to YouTube. But I need to have some method of reminding myself at the beginning to start recording. But we'll get the kinks worked out of that. And overall, I think we had good participation from everyone. And it's still not as easy as meeting in person. It just isn't. But we're doing better, and we're making progress, I think. And so overall, I'm pleased as the general evaluator with this meeting for this evening. And I will turn it back to our Toastmaster, Kyler.
Thank you, David. It's been a great meeting this evening. Do we have any educational overview? No? Okay, that's fine. Well, in that case, I will turn the lecture back to the president. I enjoyed this meeting, and it was a great time. Thanks, everyone.
Hey, I just thanks again, Kyler, for stepping in last minute. Being the Toastmaster is not always easy, and yeah, thanks for being flexible and filling in. Donovan, I want to say just in closing with our club business here, you had some great table topics tonight that really got me thinking. I just went back in the chat and I realized that Olivia and Kyler and Cheyenne were typing in all these words, and I came up with 4 measly 2-letter words. So I feel a little dumb on my part because you guys had all sorts of cool stuff. So anyway, I should have looked at the chat, but I failed to. Diego, so I know this was your last official speech, I think, but I think you said in your chat that you will be back on August 24th, and I'll present you with your level 5 pathways certificate. Is that correct? Okay, all right. So we'll wait to officially kind of say goodbye then too, but congratulations on your last speech. And level 5 is where we all kind of want to get to ourselves. So I think you did a great job, Diego. And last is speech sign up. I think in the past, really did good when we passed around the book and people were signing up. And I know we can't do that now, but does anybody want to volunteer for a speech next week? I think David, did I see a speech request for you in for next week?
Correct.
Or is that the 20th?
It'll be next week. I have a speech ready.
Okay, perfect. Does anybody want to volunteer for a speech next week? Okay, so I didn't hear anything now. What about any roles? Does anybody need to fill any roles? Donovan, would you like to fill the Toastmaster role for us next week?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, you guys, if there's any roles that you guys would like to fill, like I said, please just email me or get on Easy Speak and go ahead and request the roles, and that way, keep things moving through everybody, and no one's getting stuck doing the same thing. Okay, so we are over our time about 7 minutes, but I thought it was a great meeting. And does anybody have anything to say in closing?
I've just got a request after the meeting's over and what's his name, David, has finished recording.
Okay.
Okay. And with that, guys, I think we'll go ahead and officially end the meeting and quit recording.